With Aegis Defense Solutions. So it is a rainy, nasty day here in Minnesota. So I'm not going to really go out to the range and do anything fun there, which kind of sucks. And I'm a little too far away at the moment to actually go do something at one of our indoor ranges that, with some of the gun ranges that we actually partner with. So I just wanted to take a few moments and just do a quick live broadcast. It's the first time doing it in our new little kind of studio space that we ramshacked together in our garage. It was pretty fun to make this. And I wanted to cover a couple provisions that just got added within the last few days to the National Defense Authorization Act. Now, some of this was put in by members of the House and some by members of the Senate. Now, the NDAA, which helps do a lot of the funding for the Department of Defense and our branches of the military, just added in a couple provisions. Again, like I mentioned, we'll just cover the House one first. So House Representatives John Tester and Jackie Rosen just added a portion adding women to selective service, mandatory selective service for them. Now, why is that such a big deal? And well, first off, do I think this is going to pass? I could see that one getting line itemed out. I could see that one not going through, and there's a lot of pushback happening across the board. But the thing with the NDAA is that for the portions getting voted on the House and Senate, these provisions overall had very large support. You had Democrats and Republicans voting for this. So if this were something to pass, if fingers to point at, it's Congress in general. Okay, neither side, in my opinion, neither side cares about anybody for that matter. These are oligarchs trying to control things. Okay, now that aside, why is this a big deal? Adding women to the draft, and if women want to serve, they can serve by all means. There's many positions that they can serve. Should they be on the combat on the front line? I don't know. I don't know if necessarily think I have a very strong opinion from a voluntary standpoint. I was an EOD tech. I served with a couple girls when I was in the Air Force, and a couple of them, yeah, I would have served with them any day of the week. They did a fantastic job. They were super professional, and if they ever find this deal, they knew exactly who I'm talking about. Loved them. Great people to work with. Now, having it mandatory tells me a couple things, and this is just my hypothesis on this. The first thing that I believe it's actually telling me is that there is a bit of desperation that's occurring. Across the board, all four branches were having issues with recruitment. I mean, tons of news articles, even from the mainstream media, which is not necessarily the most trustworthy thing, but a lot of people are reporting on this that I think with the exception of the Marines, all the other branches are having issues filling slots. And so if we were to go into a hot conflict with a foreign nation, well, we're going to need people to fill these roles logistically in combat roles, in many support roles, everywhere, everything from handing towels out at the gym to making food to doing intel-based positions to making sure planes are getting off the flight line and ammunition's getting loaded into tanks. Okay, these positions need filling, and if they're forcing and wanting to put women into this stuff, I believe that it tells us that these elites, that Congress, the House, the Senate, they are concerned about going into a hot conflict and not having bodies to fill these positions. And with the divisive state of our country right now and having low recruitment numbers, there's huge concern that I believe that you could lose a hot conflict. If you don't have the bodies to fill the positions, all the technology of the world is not going to help you. Even if we have the most advanced tanks and fighter jets and aircraft carriers, none of that's going to help if there's nobody to run these things, nobody to take care of them, nobody to run logistical lines. Okay. Now, the other provision that got added with this, I believe this one actually came out of the Senate, and that was automatic selective service registration for all men 18 to 25, meaning no choice. Well, it's such a big deal. You might say, like, hey, Mike, men basically already on paper are forced to do it. I remember age of 18, literally going to the post office and filling out my form for selective service. Why is this a big deal? With the divisive state of the country, low recruiting numbers, I believe that elites in this country, the politicians, are hedging their bets and kind of trying to stem the flow that if they did need to go into a draft and you have people that basically losing faith in institutions, losing faith in Department of Defense and governments, local, federal level, that you're going to have people eventually say, screw it, I'm not going to register for selective service anymore. Why would I do that? Or you're going to have parents tell their kids, I don't want you to go and do it, so don't do it. So, with that, and this is not an advocacy to say, hey, don't register for selective service if you're 18 years old. That is not what I'm saying. Do not take that as that hands down, okay? I do support, veterans. I do support our military guys, but first and foremost, I just like when I was in the military, to uphold the Constitution. That was my oath that I took. And first and foremost, that is, that's what I believe. Anyways, so with this, with these conflicts that are happening in Ukraine and Israel and things popping off, and with the Ukrainians now, and don't take my word for it, you can pull this information up yourself. You have the Ukrainians actually sending in medical patients, cancer patients, the elderly, and pregnant women into actual conflict zones now because they are losing troops. I believe it's not far-fetched to say that U.S., NATO is going to have actual boots troops on ground in the Ukraine. I think it's highly plausible at this point. And now that you have alliances across the country across the globe, say between China and Russia with BRICS, that sides are getting picked, divisions are being made, and and political standpoints are being chosen just across the planet, conflict seem pretty close. And I don't want that. I don't want a world war. We saw what happened with the last ones. I mean, just millions of lives lost, and war is hell. And I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. My heart goes out to the people of Ukraine. Absolutely. We shouldn't have these conflicts, but unfortunately, this is humanity. This is the world that we live in right now. In the end, give it to God. That's really all you can do is say prayers. Now you have Israel as well. Israel's cooked off since last October with Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and now you have Hezbollah starting to rattle sabers, and they're ready to get into the mix with Israel. They're not big fans of Israel also. That cooks off, that's going to pull in many other nations, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan. That's going to pull in Iran supporting Hezbollah, and it could easily cook off. And a lot of this is blood in the water that sharks are smelling. You have a superpower, the U.S., that's not really acting like so much of a superpower anymore, and division across this country, and especially in our stances on foreign policy, being pretty shaky. So again, I think these draft provisions with select service for women, for men automatically being registered draft 18 to 25. I believe this is, again, it's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. These are positions being taken to hedge bets against hemorrhaging recruitment numbers for our military branches. So anyways, just wanted to share that today on this rainy day in Minnesota with everybody. So, hey, it's Mike with Aegis Defense. So God bless and good night, and be prepared, not scared.